Hello everyone, I want to welcome you to my YouTube channel. This is Steve for another video. And this section, what I decided to do is show you some of the diskette games I have, utilities and magazines and kind of everything in general. I've heard people ask me about which games I have. So what I did is I actually laid them all out so we can kind of go through them. And I've even got some of my old nostalgia stuff here from the 90s and everything is laid all out here. So first thing I was going to do is I was going to go over what are called these are, by the way, these are floppy disks I'll be showing you. I'm going to show you the game movies in order. The first one you just saw, this is Predator. It was made in the 1980s movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Also around that time in the 80s, we've seen this, but this is Ghostbusters. A really popular movie back in the 80s, one of my favorite ones, 1985. This one came out later, was Back to the Future, and this was Back to the Future 2 I have there. And of course, one of the original DC movies, probably one of the more popular ones, was Batman. Now this one's a little bit, I got these on an eBay order, but this is an older TV series called The Three Stooges. And there's even some kind of a silly, I don't know, joystick kind of thing here where you can like punch people and do different fakes and whatever. I never really played with them, but the Three Stooges were kind of a little bit popular in those days. This was, actually I'm going to put that over here. This wasn't technically a movie. And this one wasn't really. So this one was a movie popular in I think it was 1973 or 1979 when it came out. It was Superman. This is one of the first discs I got for my computer. It was actually for my Atari. You see it says Atari on the back, and if you look at this disc, you can actually flip it on one side. It shows you that there's Atari, and if you look closer, Commodore's on the front and Atari's on the back. So it's kind of a double deal you got. Now with these discs also, I was going to mention this kind of off to the side. They had labels on them, and I actually have a copy of some of the original labels. Those are the disc labels that people would put on their diskettes back in the day, even on their floppy disks, you know, and their 5 1/4-inch discs and all the other discs that came later with Windows and stuff like that. Now this one is a huge stack, so I'll go over this one. This was a popular game back in the days. It was called Dragon's Lair. I actually ended up with 2 discs because I bought one originally, and it's also, there's Dragons 1 and Dragons 2, one on the front, one on the back. And the other one I got through an eBay order, so. This was another popular game back in the days. Later became a movie, but not at that time. It was Double Dragon. I think it wasn't too long ago that they actually came up with a movie for that. Now this one was a very, very popular. This is also a double deal. It was made the Atari famous, was the pole position. And it was for, this one you see, it's for the Commodore 64. And if we flip it over, actually I have to hold the label on it because it fell off. This is the Atari on the back there. It's the Atari home computer there. And it just fell off because it's old. This was a pretty popular game back in the days. Everybody liked this one, Test Drive. Here's one of those Lucasfilm video games. This one's called Rescue and Fractalus. And again, it's reversible. You got the Atari there, and on the back you've got the Commodore 64. I should have flipped it that way. This was one called The Movie Monster. Had a couple of fun things to play in it. You just go around destroying buildings. Oh, there's another Test Drive. I didn't realize I had another one there. Stick it back in my pile. It came in that one. Here's another popular game back in the days, and this became popular on a lot of systems. You can see Sega was where it originally came from at that time. I think the Sega system was out, but then they popularized it for the Commodore 64. This one's pretty interesting. This was one of my favorite helicopter games. It's also a reversible disc. Let me see. This is the, yeah, I've got it right this time. This is actually the Commodore 64 in the front there. You can see it. The camera takes a moment to adjust, and on the back, of course, you've got the Atari. And also with this one, It comes with an instruction guide. I still have the original instruction guide for it. This was a popular game. I think this went to the Nintendo later, or Sega or something. It went to the other systems that they came out with in those days, Skate or Die, and I had one originally I bought, and one I got on an eBay order much later. This was one of my really favorite games, because this one really got me into game design, actually. This one I was totally intrigued by, because Techno Cop has some pretty cool graphical screens on it. And this one was based off, I believe this is based off of a book, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's from the Tolkien series, Shadows of Mordor. Here's Speed King. I think this one might be for both of them again. One of these discs I had, I don't know if it was this one or not. I think this might be the one. Let me see. Yeah, Atari and Commodore 64 on the same side. Look, this contains both formats on the same side. I have no idea how they did that. That was pretty cool, though. And this was just another series I had. Doesn't have a really good label on it, but it's SWAT and Panther. You see it for the Commodore, and Atari is on side B. Commodore was more popular, so Atari got pushed to the back. Here's another Superman disc I have. My original one got corrupted, so I ended up getting another one later. These were just a bunch of games that were popular back in the day, so I'm just not going to show all of these, but there's a bunch of them on here you can see, and there's kind of a series of them, and they had different games on them. They're kind of like third-party games. Here's a sports game. These came with my eBay order. This is a Fast Break. Might remember that one. It was a popular one. The summer games. This is the winter games. I have the summer around here somewhere. Now I think about it. I don't know. And this one might be reversible too. I think it is. Yeah, actually I got the Atari there. The Commodore 64 is right there on the back. Then we have the Kings of the Beach, another sports game. There's another sports game popular back in the days, Jordan versus Bird 101. That's a pretty popular one if I recall. I'll stick some of these sports ones in the front. Here's gonna be hard to see this one, but it's the Jack Nicklaus. And here's another Jack Nicklaus. Commodore 64. And here's another sports game. This was John Elways quarterback. I think that was a pretty popular. Let's see, is that 2 series? Yeah, it's just Commodore 64 and 128. Here's a TV game show. I have a Wheel of Fortune. I think that's just Commodore alone. This was a very, very popular one back in the days, and it became popular on a lot of different computers. I think it went from the Atari to the Tandy to the, IBM PC. It just went on all of those computers. Of course, Commodore 64. And then here's a racing game, Kickstar Off-Road Simulator. I think I might have just showed that one earlier tonight. I have a double on it somewhere. And this was Mail Order Monsters. I believe these might have been the Text Adventures. I'm trying to remember. I never got that one to really work. Here's some more. This is it came with an eBay order. This is Trivia Fever. Here's Mind Shadow. Trying to get this camera to focus. If I put it close enough, it focuses, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. Here's Dallas Quest. Here's Infidel. This is Text Adventure back in the days. Temple of Aspie. 1983. This one's Bandit or something. I got this one on eBay, and it's got a little card with it. It's actually an Atari case. That's funny. Yeah, because I have a bunch of Atari stuff too, but this is a Commodore 64 video. So here's one called Bulge. And those are most of the games with the original labels. Now there's a whole stack here. I wouldn't go through them all, but this whole stack right here and all these in here, these are loaded with different games, and these are just like people copying different things on their games and stuff like that. So there's tons and tons more where that came from. So if I ever get my Commodore 64 able to connect to my disk drive, it's going to be a fun moment. I mean, to my my PC computer. So I'm looking into buying what's called an Ultimate 1541-2 He says they're on back order, so I'll see if I can get that. Basically, it's like an SD. I think it's a cartridge you plug into your Commodore, and you can plug like a USB directly in your computer, and you're supposed to upload everything. Anyways, just realized I needed to organize this one again. Okay. These are the utilities I have for the Commodore 64. This one I'll hold up because it comes in threes. These were the GOS, so the operating system for the Commodore 64. The first one, actually. I had the paint around there somewhere too, but I don't know unless it was on that one. Let me see. System disk, backup disk, right utilities, geospell. Yeah, I don't know where the paint one. There's supposed to be 4 of them. Probably end up coming across it real soon. This was just a Lodestar sampler. These are, and I showed these many times, but I have tons and tons of these over to the side here. Just 2 stacks of. If I move this out of the way, I could kind of show you. So here's some of the discs I have that are just sitting on top there. Those are some of the games I just showed earlier. And this one is just loaded front to back with just Lodestar stuff. This is all Lodestar. This is all Disc Magazine. It started as a magazine, and eventually it became popular by mail order. And I just went crazy, and it just got all these different discs. And these are also Lodestars here. And I might have another stack around here somewhere. As I said, I had almost the whole collection there. So next, I made a copy of this. It was popular to make a copy back in those days, but this is the Commodore 64 assembly development system. This is what I wrote my very first assembly game on for the Commodore 64, which I've showed on my channel here before. Here's actually here's another GOS. Just realized this is not the one for the paint though, I don't think. Let me see. Commodore 64 desktop. I think this was like the boot disk or something, if I recall now. Let's put that over there. Okay, so here's a CMD. This is the stereo music player. Now it came with the cartridge, which I had parted with years ago. It was supposed to give your Commodore 64 a stereo effect, like the Amiga I have sitting over here. You may have noticed. This one is interesting. This is one of the first BBS systems I came across on the Commodore 64. So this disc is pretty old. I don't know if it has a date on it or not. I focus it on my camera. It doesn't want to focus on this one, but it's Quantum Link. I have no idea why it doesn't want to focus, but let me just read it myself here. Doesn't have a year on it. This is version 4, actually interesting. So they actually made 3 other discs before this one. But that was hooked up for like your modem and stuff like that, and that's how you dialed into the internet and could download like applications and stuff like that online. Now this one I have 3 copies of. These came with the original Commodore 64. Everybody's going to remember these ones, so I'm going to hold these up in a little bit so you can see them a little bit better there. These are the test discs that came with the Commodore 64. And what's really cool about this is you could use it for like formatting. You can see it says test diskette on there. For formatting your disk, you could use it to color test and do a lot of different stuff to make sure your system was working accurately. Just lost the stack. It's right there. Okay. Somebody asked me about this one, but I never used it. But here's the original paper clip. I think it might be original. It's for C64 and 128. Here's another, I think this was a BBS2, Autocom. It might be for the Atari. I pulled that out of my Atari stack, so it might be the Atari, I don't know. And here's a couple I got with the print shop. So you probably can't see it off to the side here, but I'll show you in a second. I might as well just show you now. I've showed this one before, but this sucker's heavy. Here's my original Commodore 64 printer, the VIC 1525 graphic printer. I got that on eBay a while back. It was back in 2013. And where did I just stick that thing? Well, anyway, I was going to show you one more and I just misplaced it somewhere. I stuck it on probably top of one of these. Oh well, it wasn't really important, but basically what it was is, actually it's right here. This is a cleaning, I think this was a disc cleaner. Memorex disc cleaner, and this came with an eBay order I had too. So I showed all of these. Okay. So that's mostly my diskette collection for the Commodore 64. I think I went and showed you these two, didn't I, earlier? Just got some different stuff in here, like Christmas caroling and stuff like that. I think this might have all been Lodestar stuff. It's kind of a mix. These are a mix of games and my Lodestar, but these are just all written on the actual disc and stuff like that. Now, I think that covers all of the discs. You might see some nostalgia discs in the background here. Windows 98 and Windows 95. But here's some of the magazines I still have for the Commodore 64. This one's the Run Commodore 64. And these are my originals. These are not something I bought on eBay. I never parted with most of my Commodore 64 stuff. Let me see if there's a date on this one. This one actually does have a date on it, I think. Right there, 1991. That's kind of pretty old. There's another one. Some of these are in actually pretty good condition, but some of them are terrible. Because I'm always typing in stuff. That's 1992. And I've showed these before, but these are my Compute magazines. I have a couple of them. What's the year on that one? 1987. This one is falling apart. It is, it's 1988. Fold it over and show it to you. 1988, so that one's pretty dang old. Give you an idea of my age. This one is 89. See a little bit better there. What is this? I think this might be another Run. Yeah, this is another Run magazine. This one, misplaced the cover here somewhere, but you see that this one is 1991. So I think I covered all of that part. Oh, and then these things here too. These are more Commodore 64s. Now I'm going to just show you these original cases. These are some cases. I found a thrift store down here one time, went out of business, but they used to sell a lot of Commodore 64 stuff in there, and this is when I went and I bought this little case. This kind of little case, unique case. See it there, and it kind of flips up, and you just stick your diskette in like that. So I don't think you could find those anywhere these days. They're all written on too. There's discs in here. These are also loaded with mostly games. So more Commodore 64 games that I haven't really showed you yet, but once I get that disk drive working, you know, we can start going through a lot of these and throwing them up on the channel with the tutorials, and there's some more there. So there's actually 4 of those cases I have there. Of course, you can see the monitor there. It's the original Commodore 64 monitor. I got that one on eBay too. And making sure I covered all the Commodore 64 stuff, but this one is still Commodore 64 anyway, and I can move on to this one next anyway. But you see it sitting up there on my computer. I showed this one before, but this is the original Amiga. Rubber band in there or something. This was the original Amiga 500. This isn't the one I had, but this was the same unit I had. Now in the back here, there's a little place, if you pull this open, I might not be able to get it open here out of a screwdriver, but there's actually a memory slot hidden inside this computer, so I'd have to pop it open like that. I'll probably steal a spoon here and just pry it open there a little bit. And you can see it right there. It kind of slides into the unit there, that silver piece there. Most of the original units did not come with this. You had to buy them later. Now, when I bought this one on eBay, it had one, but my original Amiga did not have one, so it was limited in the memory. I can't even get this thing back on here. And they were necessary because a lot of games back in those days required, you know, more memory to be able to get really good things running on your computer system. And I have my Amiga discs, but they're stacked over there and they're in the corner. And there's, you see those discs up at the top? Those are actually the original. I have some down here too. I'll show you. These are, you might remember these before the hard drive became famous and stuff like that. These used to plug right in to the floppy drives. I think this might be one that plugged into it. I might be wrong. This is the last one I had of this one, but I think this might have been the one where they I have no idea. Maybe this was just a hard drive holder. It's got a little slip on there. Somebody can sit there and tell me what that is. I've had it, and I can't remember what went in it. Because I know a disc isn't going to flip. Oh, you know what? Because it doesn't have the thing inside. Probably because it has to have the thing, and then you plug it inside where the disc goes. And I think that was it. So, looking around to make sure I haven't missed any more stuff here. So, yeah, I kind of laid everything out so I could show you guys everything. So, since we're going to talk about the discs, we'll go into the next order of discs. So, I started showing you that these are the original, I forget these are called 5 1/4 inch discs or whatever they call them. And this one, if you look closely there, let me put the other one on top since that one's hard to see. This was my very first BBS for the desktop. It's a Miracle Online. And actually, I've got a lot of copies, so I used to just erase them and put my own programs on. Once I had one copy, I didn't really need the others. But all of these are Miracle Online, so these are very, very nostalgic. And of course, I've got stacks and stacks of these discs. Up there in the corner, you can see there's some back on those shelves over there, loaded with mostly my QBasic programs and stuff I had done back in the day, some real old 3.1 Windows stuff, and then here's some more discs, you know. So after we went from floppies, so first, remember, we went from, well, actually, there were bigger floppies than these in the original businesses, but the floppies for the personal computers came there, and then they came out with these later. And then, as technology moved along, at least based on what I have, we came out with something like this. And where did I put my drive? I knew I was going to lose something around here. It's around here somewhere. There it is. Here's my my zip floppy. And these were the floppies that went in. There's actually one inside of here too, I think. If you press it there. Oh, you can't get them out unless you turn it on. But you can see this is the iOS zip floppy. And these were 100 megabyte discs. I used these back in college. You can see it says right on there 100 megabyte. So I have some of the original cases too. And see that one? So yeah, those are all the original floppies before they moved to the hard drives and all that stuff. I mean, well, they had hard drives, but those were just kind of media storage, like when you wanted, you know, to be able to take stuff around with you. Like I used it for transferring back and forth to the system, you know, back and forth to school. And I'm trying to open up my door here without knocking everything else over here. I mean, I really do not have any room now. I've like moved everything out of the way here. I wanted to show you this. I might as well, since we're on that subject. Media storage. You probably have some of these. These are probably not super nostalgic, but I still have a few. These were the original thumb drives. So here's one I have for, I don't know what that one is. It's upside down. I think it's a Lexus. I think that's my oldest one I have, Lexar. That's my oldest one. This one came out later. I use this one in school a lot, and you basically just take this off and it plugs in like a USB into your computer. So this one is, it's a 128 megabyte flash drive there. You get this thing to focus, you can see it there. So I still have media on that, and then later I came out with this one. This one's probably more newer than anything. Let's see how new it is, I don't know. That's upside down. The camera takes a moment to kind of grab it. It's not going to get it, I guess. Well, it doesn't matter. But anyways, it's a SanDisk Cruiser. And those I use for some of my media storage. I can still do that because they plug into a desktop. Now here's some of the very old discs I have. And this was like, these are probably the first games I ever got on the PC. This is, if you notice that carefully and look at it, it says Mixed Up Mother Goose. You probably can't see it very well, but that's a pretty old software. It was created by a company called Sierra from Ken and, what was his wife? Ken Williams. I can't think of his wife's name right now, but they both ran the business. And this is all Mixed Up Mother Goose. I had Space Quest around here somewhere, but I lost it, I guess. Misplaced it. And here's some other software I had got back in the day. This is something called TV Now. Actually, this came out later in '95. Sierra came out much earlier. And here's a Jeopardy one. See that Jeopardy edition? So, see on the floor here. This was a case that somebody had got me for my birthday back in the days, and this actually holds floppies perfectly. So these are all my original floppies. You know, the reason why I kept these is I still have a floppy drive that plugs in my PC computer, but I cannot seem to locate it at the moment. I gave up trying to find it, but these are, look at this one. This is one of the first desktop computers I ever owned. Now you're going to know this one is pretty ancient. Packard Bell. This is a recovery disk for the Packard Bell. And then these were some of the driver disks. Here's a printer driver disc. That was for the Canon Bubble Jet. And just some other different things in here. Mostly these were just my programs. These were, this was what you did to Windows whenever you wanted to make sure you didn't lose your copies. You backed it up. That's a setup disk. Now I threw away my original one since most of them didn't work, and not that I'd ever be able to use them. But anyways, that is a pretty cool case, don't you think? And this thing just slides back over top like that. I have no idea how much I paid for it, but I thought it was pretty cool. Never parted with it. Last, you know, something like that will last. So now that we're on the talking about going forward, like in the 90s and stuff like that, I wanted to show you this book. This was a pretty cool book that Bill Gates wrote back in the days. It's called The Road Ahead, and I have the CD somewhere, but it's probably in my CD pack, which is stacked over there, so I probably can't reach it. But this is, I lost the cover to it, but this is the book. I almost sold this on eBay. I'm glad I didn't. I kept it. The Road Ahead. This was the first book he wrote for that one, when he was talking about the internet revolution and stuff like that. Let me see if I can get this stuff without knocking it over. These are actually more diskettes, so you're probably seeing them unloaded floppies. These are all Atari stuff. There are some blanks in here too. So like this blank diskette, getting back to what we were talking about earlier, I could use these to copy over Commodore 64 programs, so I have plenty of backup. And of course I have in here, I showed these before on my channel, but these are the original Atari DOS discs. So you wonder where DOS came. It didn't come from Microsoft. DOS was a name that was established very long ago, probably even before Atari, and I just found it. There's my CD, Road Ahead for Bill Gates. Now I'll probably work on this computer since it's a CD. Now that we're talking about that, CDs here. Here's one of the original ones I got when I had my Packard Bell computer. It's the San Diego Zoo, the animals. And this was some kind of, I think this was a disk utility for Windows. Fixes Windows problems automatically. Because Windows was loaded with problems. You'll see by the date on this one how old this one is too. 1993 Guinness Records. That came with my computer too, I believe. And the disk is still in there, so the disk is right there. So here's the original battle chest. This started on the original computers, and I have the one still for the Windows computer there still. Most of these are just utility disks. This is just utility stuff here. That's Logitech stuff. I don't think there's anything in here of prime importance. Let me just take a look. Here's a software program I started, or a company I wanted to work for back in the days. I never did. I have no idea why I save stuff, and I always used to be made fun of for saving stuff, and it's become like the biggest thing on YouTube whatsoever, hands down. You know, if you're saving stuff, I mean, everybody is so interested in retro stuff. So here's a Formula 500 game I got. That's pretty old. Here's almost the original one. This is the second Marvel Madness, Racing Madness 2. It's got Motocross and Midtown Madness. I went crazy of these games. These were, and they were still in there. They don't work on any of my computers. They won't even work on my laptop, I don't think. I mean, they may. I'll have to try it. If they do, I'd like to be able to show you some of this stuff. But yeah, I went crazy on that. So that was before all the 3D games came out, and it was kind of like from the very beginning. Here's something about the Bible. I got this one time, since I like stuff like that. And these are just more CDs and stuff I have. If there's anything original down in there. I almost dropped it. I had like no room to move. I had to, like I said, take all this stuff out. But now that we're talking about it in the background here, you already saw these Windows, and you saw Windows 95. This is actually Windows XP. I got this when I was a DeVry student. Probably won't be able to see it unless I took it out and showed it to you. Not that it really matters, right? It's had that funny labeling on it. You can see it there. It's actually upside down a little bit there. Well, I showed it there for a second. It's upside down there. It says Windows XP. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Anyways, here's a Spider-Man game I got, and this was this came out much later. I think this was around 2000 or something like that when it came out. Here's my first Space Quest I ever got. Now I didn't get the original, but this was number 5. I'm gonna take it out since you can't see it. I notice the light kind of hits these in a funny way. You hold it like that, you see it's the Space Quest, and it Roger work on the Time Rippers. This was actually when they first came out, the first multimedia for computers too, and was able to put them on disk and stuff like that. This one's interesting, but I never got this one to work in a long time because I don't have the proper computer for it. But it's the Atari 2600 Action Pack. It's got several different Atari 2600 games on it. So here's a stack of CDs I have for. This has a lot of different ones in it. Some reason I chose to put them backward. So there's, you see a couple of them there. Fonts, Medical Home Advisor, and this is a Movie Select, and this is a Warbirds. And here's one for Infopedia and Jumpstart. Almost dropped everything. So hard trying to hang on to stuff while you're showing people stuff. Still got to show that magazine too before I forget. Okay, so I'm going to put these over here because I'm going to be dropping them on the floor like I almost just did. These are just some DeVry discs I got, and they had different software programs on it and stuff like that. So they're pretty old. These are all DeVry stuff. Just taking a look and see if there's anything worth showing in here. Bunch of CDs. I save CDs galore, so these are just tons and tons of CDs. There's a Spanish one here or something. Yep. And this is a pretty old CD. I showed this to one of my friends the other day. He just thought it was kind of original. Take it out and show you how old it is. It's 700 megabyte CD there. At least that one came in. You can see it. You see it's the case it says right there on it. So, got that. And we're getting to some other stuff. This was just a driver I had back in the day. This was a DVD rewriter, is what it says on it. More school stuff. Here's the Miss CD, the DVD collection that came out later. I think this might come around 2000. This has all of them in there. This is really cool. So it's got the Masterpiece Edition, and my favorite, Ribbon. Now that was a really cool game that came out. Like Mist is on here, but I probably lost it out of there. It's around here somewhere. Probably in this stack over here. This is all of my CD collections and everything I've ever had. I don't think there's anything super nostalgic in here that I can show. Just some of the original DVD cases. You might think this is interesting looking at that one. You remember the rewritables? There's a rewritable. They might still sell them, I don't know. And just some old stuff I have. Oh, here it is. I think I just found it. Oh, it's actually one of the other Miss, and I need to put that one back in here before I think about it. There's Miss 3 Exile, so that'll go with my Miss stuff. Here's Tomb Raider Legend. This is the first Tomb Raider I ever got from my computer. It's still in the package there. And I even have the book. The box is right here, actually. I just pulled out a closet earlier, so that's a pretty dang old box for the Legend. I was blown away. If you look at the back of this box, it has some really cool graphics on it there. I'll move it up so you guys can see it a little bit. Or crop this back. So I think this is when they started, upgrading it a little bit more. Here's this is the second Spider-Man movie they made. Spider-Man 2. It's got the little. Actually, it's not in here. I took it out. Probably because I'm playing on my laptop earlier. I was playing on my laptop. Found out it worked on my laptop, so I was playing it. And I have a box around here for this somewhere too. But here's Underground 2. So this was the second compared to the where they're up to now. I have no idea how many they've made already, but you guys are going to be able to blow that out. Here's my original Mist. I just found it. This was my very first one. That's why I kept this one in really good place because I didn't want to damage it or anything. It does not work on my desktop. It doesn't even work on my laptop. It is so like 1990s original mist there. And there's the Need for Speed. I just found it. There it is. There's the case for it. Was that the one I just showed you? Maybe I showed you a different one. Oh yeah, I showed you the Underground 2. Oh, this has oh, this was the setup disc. So one is the setup disc, and the other one is the actual disc. Forgot about that. So you can stick them both in there. I stick it back in there. All right. So this I got in the music store a while back. It's Guns N' Roses, and electric guitar stuff. There's just too much stuff to show you in all of this, but just some stuff that I had bought. You know, just a lot of CD stuff. And I was just trying to double check to make sure there wasn't anything. I have some really, really old stuff in here. Here's one of my first cameras, and I had a video on this YouTube channel where I showed that this was one of the, I don't know why I just keep these discs, but it was a camera I had, but the very first digital camera I owned for our computer. Compared to the quality we have these days, and now I have a Logitech here, so it's come a long way. So I guess we're just going to put that back up. Just trying to keep track of everything I showed. So I was going to show this book. This one is pretty old. And I think I bought this because I wanted to learn how to use a browser. I'm trying to see if there's a date on it here somewhere. You can see the back there. See if you can guess what magazine it is by looking at the back. Messing with your mind here. So it's volume 6, issue 5, but look, original Microsoft Internet Explorer. This was like one of their very early issues. I'm trying to see if there's a date here in here somewhere. I think they would always stick them in here. It's probably on the top here somewhere, and I probably just don't see it. I know it's like 1990 something, because I got this around the time when I had my computer, so it's pretty nostalgic. Everything else I've showed you this before. You can already see this is my Commodore 64 stuff. You know, this is my Commodore 64 cassette recorder. I don't know if you want to see it. I've showed this before, but it's my cassette recorder. Here's my Atari cassette recorder. And you can see I have a Commodore disk drive there, and I have a 15.2 or 1541.2 on top of it. And then of course over here, I got a 1541 right there. And here's a joystick, and I've got Commodores, a couple of them right there. There's an Atari computer under there, so I'm not going to pull them all out. So I don't want to make this video super long. But I think that's about it. I'm pretty sure I'm going to probably shut off this video and say, why didn't I cover this or that? So anyways, I tried to move everything over to the side, so I hope this video was informative to you and interesting in some way. And yeah, I like to see like your nostalgic stuff and stuff you've come out with, and you can see I've got the original Commodore 64 shirt. So yeah, that was really enjoying showing you everything. And I was going to show you before I forgot, but this don't have anything to do with computers. But this is actually my first camcorder I've ever gotten. It's actually a JVC there, and it actually uses these. What are they called? They're called DVCs. And this was actually one of the first times it came out with this, because right before that they were using the bigger ones, and they miniaturized them later. I still have the big ones, but they're in the closet over there. But yeah, that's kind of everything. Pretty nostalgic stuff. Double check and make sure I didn't forget anything. So yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please hit that like button down there, and look forward to more subscribers, and let me know what you think of this. And yeah, let's go ahead and share this video, and I appreciate your support and everything, and any questions you have, go ahead and throw them out there for you. And this has been a lot of fun for me, so you guys have yourself a great night.
Cool.